Chafresh Beches, and we're actually on the right column at the very bottom. Let me see if I can make this work out a little bit better here. Right column on number Yud Gimel. Number Yud Gimel wants to talk about, well, our subject, not to forget it, is, he says, Kama the Shari Rebegulta. The question is, what is the meaning of that phrase? What's Shari in the Gulgulta? So the same way that it is in the skull, Ishtatkum Mispashet Bekal Gufa. So in this particular place, and I'm not sure that I have a raya for this, but he's going to touch on this and maybe some things I don't know so well. And then he reminds me a little bit of the Idris because, I forget a little bit, that the skull represents, according to him, Bina. So that was a little bit hard for me. So let's see what he says here. He says, number Yud Gimel at the bottom. So he says, Re Lashon Ha'or Yakar B'Shleimusa Misham. So he wants to bring more of the Or Yakar because that's what we've been, well, actually, we were really learning, which one were we learning? Yeah, we were learning the Or Yakar, yeah. The Haina Rebekiyos Habina Mispashetes Besod on Hogo. The Bina actually mispashet as I'll say the word like a manager, or that it's panemi to what's going to happen later. The Haina Kol Benafek Migo Shofar. Now there's a metaphor that I'm not sure I remember. But he says that the Bina is what is being manifest through the shofar. Teferes Metocha Bina. So it's the same idea of Teferes, which is the middle line, extending out from Bina. Now, it's not so simple that he said Teferes, but keep going on. Mistashbe, and that Teferes, which is inside of the Bina, is Mispashet called Gufa. Now, earlier he had said in the Or Yakar had said previously that we're talking about Das. That Das is this extension. Now, what it has to do with Teferes, okay, they're all in the middle line, I don't know. There's no doubt that the spheres all come out from Bina. El Hayamin v'Hasmol, they go to the right, they go to the left, where they go. Amnam Hachan ein hagavana al ini his pashtos has ba'atzman. So, he wants to go more deeply into this. He says the kavana is not for the spread. The fact is, what he's talking about, what spreads into the body, just like it was in the skull. Which he's saying, according to this metaphor, this way of looking at it is Bina. So he says it's not the spread of the spheros, el yamin spheros, ba'atzmam. V'im came koyulol l'meimer, the word should have been mispashmin gufa o begufa. So the body spreads, or that it spreads into the body. Shehem atzmos a guf, which to atzman, the goof, so they were talking about Teves, so that's the body. So but now the language is, though, that it spreads into everything. Inyan echad, then there's a das that's inside of the spheros, is something else. Besocham, the hanhig hu sod hadakos hamispashet betochios spheros. Now he has coined a phrase here. Let me see if I can get some light on this. Surprise. So he says, of the low mispashet, let's say he says, now here's a couple of words he coins here. It's this, where the hanhig hu sod hadakos, this thin reality, or this almost non-physical reality that is mispashet inside of the letters. That's the point he wants to bring out. And now he has another metaphor. If he's below besod ma'ayin, not the secret of the innards, like the intestines, or I'm not sure what he means by that, or something physical. Shazabachin is misgalis, because that's the part that I think there's shazo, yeah. So that's the part that's revealed. But it's something inside of it. I mean, like the spheros themselves, let's say, for example, that would be like maybe the me'ayim he means. Alabasod atzmos, but actually it's really the light of the Ein Sof itself. hamispasha among him is lavish betochios of spheros ela that spreads into the inside of these spheros. This is what it means when it says that it spreads throughout the entire body. Because this secret of this dakos, this almost it's almost invisible or very, 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 very fine physicality, which is spreads out, because it is actually what runs things. It's the light of the Ein Sof. So that if you say it like that, it's okay. His pashtas of spheros, that's not what it's talking about. Now, I think that, I don't know what he's doing really, but I think that he's trying to say that this concept, which he called ma'ayin, that really refers to the spheros themselves. Ela atzmos hanefesh hamanhigam, but actually it's talking about this word atzmos is the light of the Ein Sof itself that's inside of everything that causes the spheros to function. Shazoku shichlu l'kula, that's what it says when it says to incorporate everything together. And that's what it seems like the shichlal means over here. So let's go on to another place. Let's go on to the Hadras Melech now. So the Hadras Melech is going to say something different. Now that was interesting to me because he used other metaphors that I haven't quite heard there before. But he's talking about this dakos, which is actually coming out of Bina, which he says is the skull, and from that this dakos spreads through das, comes out of Bina. Now here we go. Rebbe Hadras Melech Yisecha Shabir de Erich Khan Behispashtos Aras Zayin Tikunim Gegolta de Erich Anpin Bepartzufim Atachtonim, which are what Ava Ve'ima and Zer V'nuk. So it's a spashtos of the 7 Tikunim that are found in the Gegolta. There's some interesting things to say about here. This Aras Khan. So we'll look a little bit at what he brought down here below. Here's what he says. Kama the Sharya begulgolta the Erich Anpin, Zayin Tikunim. There were 7 Tikunim in the Gulgolta of Erich Anpin. Kamokain mispashtim bekol gufa, in that same way that there are 7 here. Those 7 spread, as what it sounds like. Bekol gufa the Erich Anpin. Misham kadesh from Sham, that from that place, that is from the Gulgolta of Erich Anpin. So in order to incorporate them, or to incorporate these 7 tachtonos of the, or not tachtonos, but the 7, was this tikunim of the Gulgolta, so, which means that 7 places where the light is limited, which cover over the body of Erich Anpin. Ki Abba ve'ima malbishim antiburo. And I just wanted to add, as I was reading this, is that I know that Rabbi Yaakov Hillel said that actually it doesn't stop at the tibur, it goes all the way down, but it's hidden inside of what's coming next. So it says Abba ve'ima mispashet down to the level of the tibur, the Erich Anpin. Get this lined up here a little bit. He said the Erich Anpin. And he said, V'zer v'nuk mitiburo ad sof raglov, and then that is covered, from the tibur down to the end, to the bottom, to the end of the feet, to Erich Anpin. She'im lo b'choyed lo tachtonim shorish be'al yonim, and this is a line that he brings up over here, that if the tachtonim don't have a root up above, lo choyed lechem kiyum klal, they wouldn't be able to last at all. So there has to be some connection. Now, I'm not sure what the chiddush is here. But let's look at number Yud Daled. Yud Daled went on the phrase try to v'rei b'ha'aras kan. So here's the haras. He's talking about the spread of the Zayin Tachtonim. The 5 Tikunim of the skull of Erich Anpin. So number Yud Daled down below. Let me see if how I get this. 1 second. Okay. So he said, L'chora, Yesh Lomer, oh, there's more we can add on to this. I'm down at the bottom in the corner now. Zaman Shaykh Khan Ian Ha'ara Zain Tikunim Gugolta. So what's pshat over here? Why do we care about their spread? He says, V'halo Askinin Khan B'inyan Ha'aras Osius Yud K involved. That's what we're talking about. Now, how does that fit in? I guess he's saying to this Zain Tikunim of the Gugolta. V'ulai Yesh Lomer, but it's possible they're saying like this. The Chosech, I think it'd be, yeah. I was trying to darshan how to pronounce this word, L'techilosa, that's what I'm saying. Go back to its beginning. Sha'amar, and what does it say over there? It says that this is the very beginning of this section of the SIFRA D'Tzniuta. There was this phrase, v'katvoy de katfin, which referred to the Golgotha of Erich Anpin, b'tzrira b'rucha de masculine, and then everything gets bound up in a ruach that comes from the balance scale. The balance scale, I'm not sure what it means, but the balance scale usually refers to Zer Anpin. Ebir b'hadras melech, and the Hadras Melech explains like this. The Ritzon Loma, that what it wants to say, the ha'aras zayin tikunim gilgolta me'irim b'mochus dimor. They shine into the muchus dimor of Erich Anpin. V'nimshachin the Zer Anpin, and ultimately they're min nimshach to Zer Anpin. Now, there are confusions here for me. Endless confusions here for me. Derek Abba V'Ima, how does it spread? It spreads through Abba V'Ima. Now, this sounds to me like a straight line, that it's going down from Erich Anpin through the Mos Dimor and then into Abba V'Ima. V'rei La'elsos, look over later, Arasham, V'ata Nevar Ketzad Nemshachin La'Abba V'Ima. Now we want to talk how, in fact, does it get from Abba V'Ima, V'Zer Anpin, and then it gets ultimately to Zer Anpin and then Nukva. L'zecha v'amakan, the Zayin Tikunim Gugolta mispashtim mimakom ha'Gugolta, they spread from the place of the Gugolta, b'kol gufa de Erich Anpin, into the entire body of Erich Anpin. Zeru mekaven she'aba v'ima v'zer Anpin, malvishin al gufa de Erich Anpin. So he's trying to say that through the walls, is that we're trying to say through the walls of Erich Anpin. So then, since the Zayin Tikunim of the Gegolta, I think he's saying it spreads into Abba V'Ima, ultimately spreads there, and or spreads through the body of Erich Anpin. And since they're being surrounded, Erich Anpin is surrounded by these different places. In this case, going against Rabbi Yaakov, I'm getting my names mixed up, Yaakov Hillel, who he said that it goes all the way down to Malchus, to the Karka of Itzilus. It sounds over here like it doesn't. Because if it, then, well, it could be, it could be that he means that the Ha'ara is actually coming for Zohar v'Nuk is coming from 2 partsufim, or for the Nuk for 3 partsufim, which would be, let's say, Abba V'Ima, and then Zer Anpin, that would be, we have, the light of the 7 of the Gegolta is inside of that, so that's 2 different partitions it has to go through, and the Nuk is 3. So that makes, okay, so at any rate, that's how it goes. Mekaven she'aba v'ima v'zer Nuk malbishim kol gufa de Erich Anpin b'meila nimshach ha'aras of the Zayin Tikunim, the Gegolta, gam la'aba v'ima v'zer v'Nuk ha'malvishim alav v'rei ba'aras l'cholon. There's going to be more on this subject as we go further. Okay, so that's what we did. Now we have a number Tes Vav, which is also part of this, and I'm going to read up at the top just to get a little flow from the number Yud Daled, V'zel L'Shon Sham, and this is what it teaches over there. The same way that it dwells, or it resides in the skull, the Erich Anpin. Inside the skull are Zayin Tikunim, the Gegolta. Kamo Kain Mispashtim B'kol Gufa, the Erich Anpin, Misham, from that place. And then he has a note on this at the bottom on number Tes Vav. So he says, Ulai, perhaps, Kavanasa Sha'aras Zayin Tachtonis the Atek, that the Kavanah, that we want to say like this, what's going on with the Zayin Tachtonis the Atek? Hamislavshin B'dayib Zayin Tikuniku Golta the Erich Anpin, which are clothed in the Zayin Tikunim of the Gizgolta. Hey, mispashtim gam b'kol guf Erich Anpin. Now, we've said that several times, so that we know that that's the Strauss subject, but what does he mean? K'mavor beitz chaim. Zayin tachtonis da'atik, afal pi sha'am rocha hey mislavshim b'zayin degolta de Erich Anpin. That's where they start. They're closed inside of there. Im kol zeh behechrachu, she is pashdoch b'kol guf Erich Anpin. Even though that's the place that they're at, that's their home, so to speak. That's what it sounds like. He says that even so, they're spread throughout the rest of the body, not just there. V'ikar ma shehem bereisha de Erich Anpin enu ella beis shehem chesed gevura. Now, this is a phrase that, so to think about this again. He says, v'ikar ma shehem bereisha. So let's say the main thing we want to focus on here, in the reisha de Erich Anpin, is behechrach hu, she is pashta b'kol kumas Erich Anpin v'ikar ma shehem bereisha de Erich the rich b'mucha ki gugolta b'mucha hem trin reishin tetoim. These are the two. He says here it says tetoim. They're the two hem trin reishin, two heads, the lower two heads of Erich Anpin. The hem sharsham l'kol mitzias reisha, and they're the root of everything else that you would find in the Resha, avachavashar amezgalim bezayin tikunin the Resha, but anything else that with your superatomic microscope were able to look inside of this far enough, and you see all the other seven, enim rak ha'ara ba'alma. They're not actually the essence of the light. The essence of the light, or the transfer of the light, the operant here, is NETACH-HOD. And earlier, or later, he's going to say, I don't know where he's going to say this, really. He's going to say that they are an or choser. So thinking back to what we learned way back when in the Idris, is that that's what goes back up out of the head of Erich Anpin onto the hairs of Erich Anpin, and goes back down the side. So I'm still struck by that fact that everything moves in that direction, or it comes from these places. Here he's saying that that's the only part that is really the essence of the light itself, and that's NETACH-HOD. And everything else is just a glow that comes from it, a secondary light. But the main thing is where they ultimately wind up is in the stature of the Bashar Shur with all the rest of the column, let's say, of Erich Anpin. Let me get a little drink here, and we'll move on to the next one. Now going back up to the top again, and we'll read from number Tes Vav, which we just read. The significance of that piece was, I think, that he said that the real ikar that's inside of the seven, because I think that my impression of the Gugolta and the seven Tikunim is very vague. Exactly which one is which and where they are and where they're manifest. We're talking about the Zayin Tachtonis of Atik inside of Erich Anpin, into the head of Erich Anpin. So to me, it's a little bit vague. Now comes over here and he says, well, the reason why it's a little bit vague is because the real ikar of the light is in the NETACH-HOD. NETACH-HOD is an or hoser that goes from where it enters into the head of Erich Anpin and goes back up through the skull out into the hairs of Erich Anpin. That's what I think it is. So let's see. So now we come from the Tes Vav over here. He says the Kedei, so why is it spreading so to serve into the Gufa? The Shachlo Locho Kula, the Abba Ve'imo, the Zer Benuk, Hamalvishin Gufa, the Erich Anpin, which cover over the Erich Anpin. So he said the Abba Ve'imo Malvishim Antiboro, the Erich Anpin. And then he says, V'zer Anpin, let me try to get this here. V'zer Anpin, the Milfa, the mitiburo ad sof raglav, which we understood that the Erich Anpin, she'im lo choy l'tachtonim shorsh al yonim lo choy lechem kiyum klal, they wouldn't be able to exist at all. Now, that's what he's trying to say, that you have to have this connection. Let's look at this, a little note on Tes Zayin. Inyan zecha b'she'im lo choy l'tachtonim shorsh be'Erich Anpin, if they didn't have a place within Erich Anpin, lo choy lechem kiyum klal, they wouldn't be able to exist at all. So he's mavur be'idra zuta, so it's explained over in the idra. He says, v'zel shono elin asvun detalia beratika. So those letters, and previously and somewhere else, I don't know who's speaking, I can't keep track of who's talking, I really don't know these pirushim other than what I'm reading here, the names of them, they're all very interesting. He says, Esavon Detalian Baratika, these are the letters, because he had said previously that the hairs are in the form of vavs, of letters. So he says, Ella, Asvon Detalian Baratika, that come out of Erich Anpin, Bindi is Kaimun Inan the Dutanta, and the whole reason for that is to sustain what's down below. Di love Hochi, because if it's not that, Lo Yiskaimu Adkan, they wouldn't exist. Now, I guess we'll stop here. Let me stop at this place. I'll do the best I can with the next part.